2010 Camaro SS, 6-speed manual, LS3 motor. 5 things that I really love about the car. So first and foremost, I love the power. The car's stock is a 425 horsepower. So the power is all there. The transmission, this 6-speed manual, that's number 2 that I like. It shifts great. There's some people that say this shifter is loose, and I don't know what you're doing with yours, but this one's pretty tight. So that's number 2. Number 3, I really like the style of the car. Now granted, it's 2018, so this car is 8 years old, and it may be a little dated already. You see a lot of V6 cars, a lot of these cars around, but still yet, you know, you can climb into a really nice car like this for 20,000 or less, if it's got low enough miles and it's taken care of like this one was. So number 4, I personally like the interior. There's a lot of people that say they don't like the interior. I like the interior. There's just a few things that I would change if I was the guy designing it, but I'm not. Anyway, so I do like the interior. I think it's very driver friendly. The cockpit type style of the speedometer and the tack, and then of course you got the digital in the middle. I like that too. And then number 5, I'm probably gonna have to say the handling. There's a few more things I'd like to add to the list, but 5 is probably gonna be the handling. The car really handles well around corners. It squats when you put the power to it. The independent suspension is amazing. But anyway, it corners well. It feels good. But if you really want to, you can still push her sideways pretty easy. So that's the 5 things I love about my Camaro. Feel free to leave a comment, subscribe, like the page. Trying to get this channel up and going, but full-time job and all the kids I have, it's hard to peel time for this sometimes. So hit that subscribe and help me out with that. 5 or more things I hate, absolutely hate, about the 2010 Camaro SS. First and foremost, above everything about this car, is this is a heavy car. It's just shy of 4,000 pounds. I think 3810 or 3890, something like that. So with a 200-pound guy like me, you know, 4,000 pounds pretty easy. So that's the first thing I absolutely hate about the Camaro. The weight is just ridiculous. Okay, so the second thing I hate about the Camaro is I hate the fact that this thing even has a back seat. The back seat in this thing is a joke. I understand when you buy one of these cars, back seat's not traditionally what you're thinking about. And 9 times out of 10, if you're going to run these cars, you're going to take the back seat out anyway. My point is, whenever you want to take your buddies out for a ride or anything like that, if you have friends that are over 3 feet tall and that their calves are bigger than this, it's going to be really hard, and I mean really hard, to get them to squeeze in back here behind the seats. Sitting behind me is pretty much a no-go. I'm 6'2", and I've got my seat up as far as I can comfortably to drive. And unless you're a kid, a child, you're not going to fit back there. So that's two. I really dislike the back seat and the way they designed all that crap. Number 3. On one of my other videos, I said that I like the interior. I do like the interior, but that being said, from the center stereo console all the way over to the passenger side, they pretty much forgot their design. I mean, it is just plain Jane. There's nothing cool about it. It looks cheap. It's a huge hunk of plastic. There's a lot of plastic on the interior of this car, which a lot of people complain about. I don't mind it, except whenever you put such a huge dash in here and it's that much plain plastic. You could have broken it up with, I don't know, some kind of silver trim like what's around the gauges or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's the third thing I don't like. Fourth, visibility around this car is not great. I can't say that I hate it, because you know, if you drive fast enough, you don't need to see who's beside you or behind you, so it's fine that way. But as far as backing out or backing out of a parking spot or something like that, you can't really see behind you very well. It's pretty much, and unless your Camaro has a camera on it, you're definitely not going to see behind you. So anything, that's definitely something to get used to. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5, I do not, and I repeat, I do not like the back of this car. The back of this car is very boring outside of the taillights. The taillights look pretty good. You know, they look pretty retro. But just a huge honking bumper back there. And once again, from the front to the rear quarters, they did really well with the design and the body lines and all that. But there again, whenever they got to the back, it was just like, okay, we built this car, now let's wrap it up. So the back's personally not my favorite. This is an SS, and I know the ZL1 is pretty much the flagship of the Camaros, but the last generation of Camaro before the 2010, the SS was bad to the bone. It had a very awesome hood scoop, nice hood. Most of them had that curved up spoiler with the two braces kind of centered. Anyway, you could tell 100% whenever it was coming down the highway, that's an SS. That's a super sport car. Up there in the front, at the front of the hood, you can see a small little slot, and I'm guessing their idea behind that was to make it look like it had some kind of hood scoop, but I think they swung and missed on that one. Anyway, number 5 is the back of this car. The spoiler, it's almost non-existent. It's a tiny little spoiler. You see, you know, Ford Tauruses with bigger spoilers that actually look good. If you're designing a car like this, I would imagine you would want all aspects to be pretty driver friendly. Obviously this isn't the ZL1, so you didn't build this car strictly to compete against Ford and Mopar. Granted, it can hold its own pretty decent, but you get in the category of the ZL1 or the Hellcats, or even some of these 5.0 Mustangs with the Coyote motors. With that 10-speed transmission they're throwing in the Mustangs now, you know, having an 8-year-old car like this, you're really going to have to do some stuff just to keep up with the stock Mustang. The SRT8, Challenger, Charger, the Scat Pack, 392, all that jazz. This car, bone stock, I don't think is going to keep up. You can probably do a few things and then you'll be fine. Keep 5.0 Mustang and the Hellcat, the Demon, everything that all these other manufacturers are going to, from a standstill, unless you're running just a plain Jane RT Challenger, or you know, when they first came back out with the 5.0 Mustang, unless you're running something like that, and your SS is stock, you probably just want to stick to there, because you're not going to be able to run with the SRT8s or the newer 5.0 Mustangs with the 10-speed transmissions, or the ZL1. Subscribe, like the page. Trying to get this channel up and going.